because of the very, very special guest that we have later on in our interview, we are discussing between us what is the greatest WWE faction of all time. Now, the rules are simple. Each member brings their answer to the table, and we try and convince the others that their answer is the correct answer. Each person gets just 45 seconds on the clock to state their piece. And first up, we are going to go to Crusher. What is the greatest faction of all time? Go.
D-Generation X, because it had some of the best superstars we've seen in the Attitude Era, and it was the leading sort of faction in that time. Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Road Dogg, Chyna, X-Pac, Billy Gunn. Like, the amount of titles they won, I think they won the WWE Championship 4 times. They won the Intercontinental Championship when they were a faction, the European Championship, Hardcore Championship. But also, it's better than all your choices because WWE named the top 10 wrestling factions of all time, and D-Generation X placed in third, which was higher than any of your options.
Very, very, very good, Crush. Now, usually I'd throw to someone else, but I'm going to jump straight on this just to prove Crush wrong, because realistically, all we want to do here is prove that Crusher is not correct, and then whoever can win after that, we're quite happy with. It's like seeing a Baron Corbin match. We know who we don't want to win, and then after that, we're just quite happy. So for my option, the greatest faction of all time is simply NWO. Now, Crush set up his stall around the members of D-Generation X. So let me educate y'all about NWO. We've got Scott Hall. We've got Kevin Nash. We've got Hulk Hogan. That is a trifecta in its own. But we go on. There's more. We've got Ted DiBiase. We've got Big Show. We've got Sting. We've got X-Pac. We've got Miss Elizabeth is in there. We've got Eric Bischoff. We've got Randy Savage and Dennis Rodman. We've got Scott Steiner. But more than that, above all of those, we have the greatest wrestler in WCW history. He started the invasion of WWE. It's that man, Buff Bagwell, and that is why NWO is the greatest faction of all time. Throwing it straight over to you, Elliott.
How many seconds? Come on.
That was 7 seconds.
Right, okay, so we need to deduct points from you then.
This is not your section, Crusher. Get in the bin. Elliott, you have 45 seconds on the clock. When you're ready, off you go.
Well, you've already mentioned D-Generation X. Well, I'm going to take a member from D-Generation X and what formed the better faction, I would argue, because for me, you never forget your first in most things. And Evolution was the first faction that I fell in love with because I came into WWE like late 2003, early 2004. And oh my God, those guys were absolute badasses, just tearing shit up across Raw, being absolutely mischievous. The fact that they ended up closing Armageddon 2003 with all the gold, all the belts, something that every single faction has tried to replicate over the years, and the storylines that they had, the fighting, the feuding, eventually when Batista gave the thumbs up, thumbs down, oh my God, it's some of the best storytelling in WWE history, and it made everyone bigger stars than they already were and laid stuff around for the future. Fantastic stuff.
A little bit over, but you were on a rampage, and I enjoyed it a lot. And now I'm nervous because I'm going to throw to Will, obviously, but he has disappeared off camera. Now, I appreciate this is an audio platform, but we do some YouTube stuff. And currently, I'm just looking at the name Will Brazier on Zoom. However, we wait for no man, so I'm going to throw to him. I'm going to start his timer. As soon as I do, Will Brazier, what is the best faction of all time? Go.
Anyone that can make a bucket hat fashionable in 2020 and keep it relevant should be top of the list for me. Just got it too hotty, cut a hole in the top of this, gelled some hair through it, and ever since then, I've been in love with bucket hats. Too Cool is the greatest faction of all time. When you guys were speaking, you were just reading names off Wikipedia lists because, let's be honest, you'd probably forgotten who was the greatest of all time. I'll tell you who's the greatest of all time. Scotty, Too Hotty, who had the worm, the greatest finisher of all time. Grandmaster Sexy, who he had a leg drop. He wasn't really part of it. Rikishi, the biggest leader. Any team that can stop a Royal Rumble, close down the lights like The Undertaker, do a dance, and bring the house down at Madison Square Garden is the greatest faction of all time. Good day, sirs.
So for those watching on YouTube, Will currently is wearing a bucket hat. Will, I've got a two-part question. Where did you get it from, and is it yours or is it your girlfriend's?
Greece, and we both bought matching bucket hats at the same time.
Ah, that's cute.
So I was I was just about to say that Will did go over, so we should subtract a point for that. But we were given the point back for wearing a bucket hat. However, when he just told me that they bought matching bucket hats, he loses all points and Too Cool is officially disqualified. However, it is not up to us. It is up to you, the Go Home Show Pod universe. What is the greatest faction of all time? Is it D-Generation X Crusher? Is it Elliott's Evolution? Is it my NWO? Or is it Will's Too Cool? Let us know on Twitter at Go Home Show Pod or in the YouTube comments. What is the greatest faction of all time?